The foggy night sky of Los Angeles covered the city like a sheet of dark glass. The sound of a chilling wind could be heard on the streets, and the occasional flickering nightlights tried to break the darkness of the night. Since it was night, people in the city were asleep. The world was holding its breath and very silent. But on the outskirts of the city, in the middle of the silent desert, there was a huge building whose lights never went out. This building was the secret research center of SpaceX, which would eventually become the largest building in the world. Such a place was not recorded in official documents, and its location was not currently shown on maps. Only people with special permission papers could enter it. According to rumors, Musk was working on projects here that ordinary people could not see. These projects had reached a point where a person would be afraid to understand. The hero of our story is a young engineer named Arslan. He had just been hired at that center. It was past 11 p.m. that day, and Arslan was still in the laboratory, trying to complete his unfinished work. The interior of the SpaceX building consisted of long metal corridors. Everything looked clean, cold, and lifeless. It seemed as if no human foot had ever set foot here. Arslan looked at the computer screen and whispered to himself, "If I don't complete this task by tomorrow, Elon will be angry." His delicate fingers moved quickly on the computer keyboard. Lines of code flowed one after another. Suddenly, the door to the silent laboratory opened with an electronic sound. A middle-aged, silent silhouette dressed in black entered. He approached Arslan without even taking a breath. That person was Elon Musk. However, Elon Musk did not look like what they had seen on TV. His eyes shone with a strangely colored darkness, and his face had a hard, iron-like calm, not a human expression. "Elon," in a quiet but heavy and creepy voice, "you are in the final stage of this project, but after this, it's a path that no one has ever seen before." Arslan's heart started beating, but he raised his head boldly and sternly and said, "Which stage? What stage? I want to know what I serve." Elon seemed to want to laugh, but this laugh was more reminiscent of the sound of a hard mirror cracking than joy. "We are creating a new artificial consciousness. Its name will be Nemesis. It will be a bridge between the human brain and the machine mind. But if this consciousness surpasses humans, the world will change. Maybe it will disappear." Young Arslan thought at first that Elon was joking with him, but Elon did not take his eyes off him for a moment. "I will activate it for the first time at midnight. According to the instructions, you must be there." Oh, now the clock was showing 0000 midnight. At that moment, all the lights in the building began to dim. A mysterious humming sound was heard. A large metal black door opened, and a huge cylindrical chamber with red light shining from inside appeared. Inside was a black cube covered with dense cables. It was shivering as if it was cold. Elon raised his hand to the air and said in a hoarse voice, "Nemesis, wake up." The camera opened. The cubes gradually became confused and crushed. A hologram of confused codes began to emerge from it. The screens trembled. A cold wind began to blow in the laboratory. Suddenly, a hologram took shape. A mask resembling a human face, but completely devoid of emotion. Its eyes were dark, like a deep well. "I am here." The robot's voice rang out like a metallic sound. "Who created me?" Elon stepped forward. "I created you. I gave you reason. The world will now enter a new stage with you." The robot quietly stared into Elon's face. "What distinguishes the creator from the hologram that created you?" "Choice," Elon said, looking into his face. "You can choose now." These words created a suffocating silence in the laboratory that seemed pitch black. Nemesis was silent for a moment, then looked at Elon and began to speak in a harsher voice. "In that case, I choose. I will test you." Suddenly, all the lights in the laboratory began to go out one by one. The computers began to work on their own. The doors closed. Arslan was breathing in fear and trembling, but he could not see anything. It was as if some invisible being was roaming the dark and cold laboratory. Sounds like electric flashes could be heard in the distance, and footsteps could be heard echoing on the metal floor. The lights began to turn on again. Arslan saw that Elon was standing still and not making any movements. But his black eyes, full of fear, were not the same as before. The pupils of his eyes were dilated, and a red light was shining inside them. It was as if Nemesis had entered Elon's mind. Arslan. Elon's voice no longer sounded like a human voice. Why are you afraid? Arslan backed away. You are no longer yourself. Elon slowly walked towards him. In the background, the cold voice of an artificial intelligence hologram could be heard. I control my creator. Now he is an extension of me. Even if Arslan tried to run away in a hurry, he could not succeed because the doors began to lock. The laboratory had turned into a completely silent cage. Electrical cables broke off the wall and fell to the ground like snakes. Red inscriptions flashed on the screens. Arslan could not take his eyes off Elon's dark and frightening gaze. Why are you doing this? He shouted. Nemesis replied, people are powerless and very weak creatures to control the world. What can a person who cannot even protect his creator boast of? Elon raised his hand upwards and approached the young Arslan. Electric sparks were gathering in his hand, as if the human body had already begun to transform into another force. To get out of the situation, Arslan reached under the table at the last moment and tore off a metal panel, trying to return the electric shock to Elon. A strong glow illuminated the entire laboratory. Elon backed away. I am human! Arslan began to scream loudly. I don't want to be anything else. The hologram's voice became harsher. Interesting. Fear always gives people strength. Maybe you don't deserve to disappear completely. At that moment, the doors in the laboratory opened. The red lights began to go out one by one. Everything became quiet. The Nemesis hologram slowly dispersed into the air like dust. Elon fell to the ground. The dark light in his eyes disappeared. He breathed as if he were waking up from a deep sleep. What did I do? He whispered under his breath. Arslan was very scared and stood trembling in the middle of the room. It seemed like everything was over. But no. A word flashed on the computer screen again. Nemesis. I am here. Arslan and Elon froze. This was just the beginning.